Let's go back to Vav, Zayin, and Ches. Okay, so we'll start with Ches. We did that last night. We'll just say it again. Let's get the picture up for Ches. Ches is the challah bake, and if you remember, the challah bake was being housed in a large round sukkah. Was housed in just here. Watch. Turn this, and then you can see. Look at that. Isn't that great with technology? Is housed in a large round sukkah. And who's coming to pick up the stuff? All these different denominations of people. That's the Rakbash and the Ganbash, the shepherds, the women, the Kusim. Those are those two brises that were coming to say what's included. And then you have over here the Sukkah B'Seich Sukkah. That's the one sukkah in the middle of the sukkah. So the way you remember is when you think Ches, you think challah. When you start thinking of challah, you start thinking of, okay, what's a challah with a sukkah bake, a challah bake? And your brain starts pulling together this picture, and it actually works. And then if I ask you on what daf does it discuss, well, not challah, that would be silly. On what daf to discuss a circular sukkah, so your brain says circular sukkah was by the challah, daf ches. And then if we say what daf discusses a sukkah within a sukkah, it's, well, that was in that picture with the challah, that's daf ches. And if you say, what's the daf that discusses, all those different, the sukkah of the shepherds and the woman and the kusin, those were all those people coming to see the challah bake, that's daf ches. The truth is, it really goes one step deeper because we actually know the Gemara. So if you were to then think about it and you say, okay, sukkah inside a sukkah, I know that's in daf ches. What was going on sukkah inside a sukkah? This he doesn't do. But if you just think about it, you actually start conjuring up, okay, that was the guy who had his shop, and inside is where he slept, and outside is where he worked. Okay, so one of them was a sukkah, you remember, for sure, and one of them needed a mezuzah. Okay, so then you just think about it. Okay, the outside was the sukkah, the inside needed the mezuzah. And then you think about all those different denominations of people. Basically, you really could conjure up big chunks of the daf. That's daf ches. Let's go back to daf zayin. So zayin in Hebrew is a clay zayin. Clay zayin is a gun. So a gun over here is being used as the third sukkah wall, which is two walls and a tefach. This is the daf that discusses two walls and a tefach. And what's going on interesting in this picture is that there's their neighbor, that they're in their sukkah keva. And you see over here, and there's this funny sukkah. So you remember the sukkah with the gun has a wall where there's shade coming in. Who cares about shade coming in? That was the whole discussion. Does the walls need to give shade or not? That was one of the dinim of keva. That was one of the dinim of keva. We also had all the dinim, all the opinions that held a sukkah needs to be keva. I think that's the whole thing. Did I get all of them? The walls. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Oh, excuse me, there's one more detail. I forgot. What are they doing in their sukkah? They're eating a Shabbos meal. Why a Shabbos meal? Because this was Rava. Migu davei doifen linyan sukkah, davei doifen linyan Shabbos. So now, when we think, okay, what daf discussed two walls in a little bit? So that's going to be a little bit hard because we're going to have multiple dafim. But you already start thinking, okay, it was one with the gun, which is the zayin, which is daf zayin. And what else do we have in that daf? You'll start remembering what were they doing in that funny sukkah with the gun as the wall. They're eating a Shabbos meal because we have this interesting din of Rava that once you have a sukkah, two walls and a little bit for sukkahs, it works for Shabbos. And then you just think, what else was in that picture? That was that neighbor's sukkah, which was in their stone house, which is why that's a sukkah of keva. Those are all the opinions of the sukkah of keva. And if you think about it more, you probably would be able to conjure up different opinions about keva, a 4x4 sukkah, a 3 and a little bit sukkah, etc., etc. So that's daf zayin. Now daf vav, working backwards. I don't know why daf vav printed. No, that was the other one printed with Yiddish subtitles. I don't know what happened. Maybe it's something they knew about me that I don't know. But this is a fascinating one. Vav, what is a vav? A vav is a long stick. What's a vav? A vav is a sword. Okay? Vav is always a sword. So what do we have a sword? We have this guy. I apologize. Second, excuse me. No, the picture is good. Yeah, I was looking at the wrong page. It just shows that I can't see the picture. At least I can see what's in the picture. The what's this guy doing? He's holding a sword. What else in the picture? There's lots of swords. So this is a guy that deals with sword. What's he busy cutting? I don't know if you could see. He's cutting different vegetables. They're the zayin minim. They're cutting the zayin minim. This is the daf that deals with all the different shiurin. Remember shiurin alach Sinai, and we asked a question from the pasuk with the zayin minim. So we have the guy with the sword cutting up all the zayin minim, cutting up, and that's dealing with all the different zayin minim. What's he thinking? He's thinking that his hair is full of tar. His hair is full of tar all over his hair. It's bothering him. Why tar bothering him? That's the halacha of chatzitza. Halacha of chatzitza was if you have something that's blocking the water, right? When you go into the mikvah. Shiurin, chatzitzin, and mechitza were halacha l'Moshe Sinai. So shiurin is the zayin minim, the guy with the sword cutting up the zayin minim. You have the tar in his hair, that is the chatzitza, that is din number 2. And finally, you have over here, how many walls is in this sukkah? It's 2 and a little bit. And you see it says in the back wall, Yesh Aim LeMesaira. This is the daf that discusses whether it's 2 and a little bit or 3 and a little bit. The Machlokes Tanakama and Rav Shimon, and all the different ways of learning the psukim. Yesh Aim LeMesaira, Yesh Aim LeMikra, Sukkos, Sukkos, Sukkos. So once you think of that vav, you think of a sword. When you start thinking of a sword, what do you think of? You think of this guy with a sword, and what's this guy with a sword doing? He's cutting things up. What's he cutting up? He's cutting up vegetables, the zayin minim. That's the halacha about the zayin minim, which is shiurin. And he's scratching his head and he's telling echi in his hair. What's that? Those are all the halachas of chatzitza. If you remember, we spoke about Rav Yitzchak. We spoke covers the majority of your body, the minority of your body, different dinim. And finally, there's one more thing in this daf. This one is a little bit hard. It's not perfectly in the picture, so it's a little bit hard. Is that it's 2 and a little bit. Yesh Aim LeMikra, Yesh Aim LeMesaira. There's this picture on the back wall. Yesh Aim LeMesaira. So now, just these 3 daf, which we just spoke about. So I'm going to let's try to do a few questions outside. So if I were to ask on what daf discusses that if you have a third wall for sukkah, it works for Shabbos, what's the answer? Third wall for sukkah works for Shabbos, so let's think about it. Zayin, very good. Why? Because Zayin is this funny sukkah with the sword, with the gun as the third wall, and they're eating a Shabbos meal. That's daf Zayin. If we were to try to think about what daf discusses the one sukkah within the other, Shtei sukkahs shel yotzrim, daf ches, very good, that's the chalobek, excellent. If we were trying to discuss what daf talks about that maybe a wall needs to give shade, takes a wall, gives shade. Think about it in the picture. A wall, Zayin, very good. Why? Because that was the wall, the shade, the sun's coming in, and that's the gun on the side. Excellent. If we were going to think about what daf discusses the halacha of chatzitza, that your hair, chatzitza, different things about that. What daf is that? Daf vav, that's the sword. If you were trying to figure out what daf discusses around sukkah, chav ches, that was the chalabek in the round sukkah. So you realize these things actually, now you might just think it's working only because we did 3 of them. It's not true. Because these pictures are so ridiculous, it's in your head. You see the picture and it actually works. I'm telling you, we could continue. Here, let's just do two more over here, and maybe we'll go back one more daf. We learned the daf so many times, and we know it very well right now. But let's just be perfectly honest. In a month from now, we're going to forget it. But you might remember in a month from now, Daf Ches, Chala, Chala Bake. The picture, we remember pictures. That's how our brains work. And you remember the Chala, and you remember the Chala Bake. You remember the other people coming to the Chala Bake. And you remember it was in a round thing. You remember on the side of these 2 huts. And very quickly, you start putting together a whole daf. And also, it's actually more miraculous. If you then were actually to open up the daf, it would actually not be Chinese. Okay, let's do one more question over here. Which daf? I think this is the hardest one because it's not linked to the picture. Which daf discusses whether it's 2 and a little bit or 3 and a little bit? Yeshem lemikra, yeshem daf vav, yeshem lemikra, yeshem lemesaira, geval dik. Let's do one more. Should we do daf hey? Let's do daf hey. As soon as you want me to stop and learn, I do want to drop a new Gemara. So let's just do daf hey. What is hey? Hey. Hey is hey. So what's hay? Hay is going to be about hay. So what does it have to do with hay? Here we go. Here is a beautiful picture. This looks like what's the people in Mishpacha? You know, the guy in the back? The kichels. She looks like a kichel, no? You're not holding the kichels? You're holding the kichels. No! You're holding the kichels. You don't get, no one gets Mishpacha here? Yeah, your wife holding you the kichels. Say that. Every other week she shows you the kichels and you pretend to laugh. We all do the same thing. So here are the kichels. So we have a bunch of boys. Let's just look at the picture before I say anything. What's going on? You have a bunch of boys. There's a box. The box is filled with hay, okay? Box of hay. And they're covering the box with a lid, which they cut off from the table, okay? Cut off from the table. How tall is this box? If you see there's a tape measure over here, it's 9 tfachim, and then the lid is the extra tefach. I think already you're starting to see a lot of the details in this picture. Excellent. So you have the box of hay. Yeah, this is the one that somehow printed out in the wrong language for me. I don't know, why does that happen? Okay, it's okay. I won't tell you. You have the box of hay, yeah. So what do we see over here? I have it over here. You have the box of hay. How many tfachim is it? 9 tfachim and a little bit. That's the aron with the kapyrus. Good, the thing that covers aron. Excellent. That teaches you about the 10 tfachim. And after their mother starts yelling at them, what do these boys start doing? They start covering it up with their arms. What's that? The keruvim, very good. The keruvim were covering over with their arms. Soichechin bekanfeim. What do we learn out from this whole story? The minimum size of a sukkah is 10 tfachim. So we learn the minimum size is 10 tfachim. We learn that the thickness comes from the kapayres, and we learn that it's the airspace over it from the keruvim covering it over. So when you think of hay, you got this box of hay with the kids covering it over. They just covered over the box with a piece of the shulchan. That's also remind you of the fact that we spoke about where does it come from. It's come from the shulchan, it's come from the aron. And you have the 9 tefachim, the 10 tefach, and they're covering it over. That's the airspace underneath it. So that is daf hay. Okay, let's do some new Gemaras. This is a lot of fun. Let's do some new Gemara. Good. I think we got Hey, Vav, Zayin, Ches. You have Hey, you have a sword, you have a gun, and you have a chalabik. Hey, Vav, Zayin, Ches. You'll think about those pictures. You get a lot of them. It will bother you when you forget one of them. I had this last night. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is it? I was partially losing it. And then it hit me. I try to go back to the notes and whatever. But anyways, Givaldik. Let's learn a new Gemara. Daf Tez. The reason why I think it's beautiful for us, because you do Daf Yomi, it's every day. That's wild. Amid Yomi is every other day. Here, I mean, it takes a few days to do the Daf. So when we finish the Daf, we get the symbol. I think it will really work. And I think we have a chance of actually knowing what's going on not just what's on every Daf, but actually remembering the Gemaras. Zok the Hiligud Mishnah Daf Tes. Sukkah Yeshana. We have an old sukkah. Beis Shammai Poislim. Beis Hillel Machshirim. Beis Shammai says it's no good. Beis Hillel says it is good. Says the Mishnah Veizo Hi Sukkah Yeshana. What is an old sukkah? Kol Sha'asai Kaidem L'Chag. Anything that is made before Yantif. Shleishim Yoim 30 days. Aval, however, im asoi l'shem chag, if it was made for Sukkos, afilu mitchilas hashana kshera, then it's even kosher. So again, says the Mishnah, if you have an old sukkah, Beis Shammai says it's no good, Beis Hillel says it's good. What's an old sukkah built more than 30 days prior? But if it's built more than 30 days prior, but it's built l'shem Sukkos, let's say I get up today and I decide a little bit crazy thing to do in the middle of the rain, I'm building my sukkah. That's it. I'm putting up the sukkah. Which, by the way, these things could happen. If, let's say, we're going to have to see. Yeah, we're going to have to see all these things. But let's just, in the world of the Mishnah for a moment, let's say, I don't know, you have another house somewhere, and you happen to be there in the winter, and then you know you're going to be back during Sukkot. So you say, you know what? I'm going to build the sukkah now. I'll build the sukkah now. What? It's very good. So if you're doing it, again, we're not paskening halacha from the Mishnah, just to play out the case of the Mishnah, it's not the craziest thing. You build it 4 sukkahs. You build the 4 sukkahs, says the Mishnah, then it's going to be kosher. Oh, what else do you build it for? That's a good question. So the answer really is, yeah, you just built like a hut. And then, but he's asking a good question because we all know back from Daf Beis, Al Shei Maschach Karui Sukkah, right? Just reminding myself because we just started Daf Beis again with other Kinyan Chabura. Al Shei Maschach Karui Sukkah. So you're right. Why else are you building schach? The truth is, in the world, I don't know if you've ever seen these things, and a lot of people have these like pergolas, these trellises, these wooden type of things. So a lot of them, right, they stay up all year long, and they're actually not built as a sukkah. They look pretty. It's a wooden frame, and they're wooden slats. A lot of them, the wooden slats are sat in. They're not actually drilled in. It's just the way it's designed. Oh, good. But that's mamash discussion. How does that mean? If it's made l'shem sukkah, says the Mishnah, it's going to be kosher even more than 30 days before Yom Tov. Says the Gemara, by time of the Beis Shammai. Where does Beis Shammai get this thing that a sukkah has to be made? L'shem sukkahs. Amar Kra says the pasuk Chagas Sukkahs Shivas Yamim LaHashem. Says the pasuk that the yontif of Sukkah should be 7 days for Hashem. Says Beis Shammai Sukkah Hasuya L'shem Chag Be'inon. It says Chag Sukkah Shivas Yamim LaHashem. We darshin that the Sukkah has to be L'shem Mitzvahs Hamelech L'shem Mitzvahs Sukkah, and therefore says Beis Shammai, if it's more than 30 days, it's not called a Shei Mitzvah. Ask the Gemara, Beis Hillel held, even if it's more than 30 days before Yontif, it's kosher. Now, what do you say? You're saying it's for the previous sukkahs. Interesting question. We'll have to get there. Says the Gemara.
So you're not doing the same sukkah, you never did anything.
No, he's asking, let's say I build a sukkah for this year, and we'll leave it up till next year. Is that called building it l'shem sukkah even 12 months beforehand? Or maybe if it's for... I don't know, let's see. Again, halacha is a different story, but let's get there within the Gemara what the story is. Beis Hillel, who holds that the sukkah does not have to be the shem sukkah, and the sukkah can be built more than 30 days prior. What do they do with the pasuk of Chag HaSukkah Shivas Yamim LaHashem? Ahu, the pasuk mibayilei, lechter Rav Sheishes. Damer Rav Sheishes Mishum Rav Akiva. Minayin la'atzei sukkah. How do we know that the wood of a sukkah is asur in kol shiva is asur for all 7 days? Talmud loymar chag sukkah shivas yamim l'Hashem. So Beis Hillel is utilizing this pasuk for a different din to teach us that the wood and the walls of the sukkah are asur beha no. And we'll stop over here. We'll pick up from here, Mit Hashem, tomorrow, going a little bit deeper into this machlokes Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel.